I was looking around my catalog. I've talked about skills many times before, but it's always been about just the top 3 skills and very little else. And with the release of the 2024 core rulebooks, ooh, this script is old. Anyways, the skill tier list has slightly changed, so we're gonna talk about them and put them in the tier list. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where I play the bagpipes in real life. I love my pipes, they're so fun. My neighbors hate me. Tier list, best to worst. S tier have huge mechanical advantages that pop up all the time, or are just insanely strong in general. A have somewhat limited mechanics to them, and will be useful in majority of adventures. B has very limited mechanics tied to them, if any. It's occasionally useful. C is rarely useful. D is no mechanics or basically next to nothing, or is rarely useful. When I say mechanics, I'm talking about rules as written stuff. You know, the books. This is a pretty hard video actually, because you can't just judge on mechanics themselves. I'm looking at this from an optimization perspective, and I have my experience. And I'm looking at this through 30 other people's experiences as well. Tabletop Builds has a tier list, and it's incredibly similar to mine, except this uses the old rules. Still though, link in the description. All of these 30 people I know are very active players and DMs. And that of course includes other systems as well. But for the most part, I'm going to be leaning heavily on my 15 years of tabletop experience. I've seen a lot of patterns, like you always roll perception every single hour or so. Spoilers. Before we start, let's make a disclaimer because you're probably gonna disagree with me in this video. You have your experience too, I'm aware. That's fine. Different tables will most likely treat skills entirely differently, even when they aren't using any homebrew rules or making unusual rulings. We're bound to disagree with talking skills, and I kind of have a hot take on that. I want you to look at this tier list as very flexible, where mostly everything can change around depending on the table. For like a truly optimized list, you should just ask your dungeon master to make the tier list, you know? I'm just a kobold on the internet. As for tool proficiencies, they're not going to be in this video, even though they're more important in 2024. Now let's begin. We're going to go through this alphabetically. First up, acrobatics, A tier. It is used for keeping your balance, performing acrobatic stunts, and slipping out of knots. Mechanically, acrobatics allows you to avoid getting grappled or shoved, and avoid falling prone when you land on difficult terrain. Ice, for example. It's a decently powerful skill with a number of uses, and unlike athletics, most people invest at least a little in dexterity unless they're wearing heavy armor. Animal handling, C tier. Mounts had spook mechanics in 2014, and no one really used them because they were so annoying. Now they're gone. Thank God, by the way. But unfortunately, that means there's basically no mechanics. So you might be wondering, why did I put this so high then? It's because it's one of those skills that can avoid encounters like the wolf encounter, which is infamous in tier 1. They're so dangerous because they have pack tactics, they kill you. Basically, you throw rations at them and pray to God. Shove a good berry in the ration or something. In this ancient script, I blabbered on for a very long time. Basically, what I wrote is, animals are so easy to exploit, especially when you can talk to them. I made an entire video about that. Basically, your available options to talk to NPCs triples. You can talk to the rats in the streets or the birds in the trees. If you feed them a little bit of food, you're going to get a lot of information. You can even bribe them to help you. For more information, check out this video. Arcana, easy S tier, and it got boosted in the new DMG with the new crafting rules. Magic is usually the most dangerous thing in the game, so knowing a lot about it is immensely useful from the get-go. Also, in some cases, you can disarm magical traps. It's also insanely useful for magic items in general. A paladin might not have the level to cast Revivify, but if they have a scroll of Revivify, they can roll Arcana to try to cast a spell. That roll specifically is a big deal, as all of you know. That is a campaign changer. You can also scribe scrolls to make more resources, which is always a good idea for your party. Now in 2024, magic item crafting is so much more accessible for players, and they can work together to make these magic items faster. If you want more information about that, chat, link in the description. Arcana is the second best skill in the whole game. Next, Athletics, A tier. This is climbing, swimming, breaking down doors or chests, and lifting things. It's also commonly used for grapples and even escaping grapples. It's a really good skill that got boosted too. If you have a bad strength score, then I recommend Acrobatics over this. Although in my opinion, Athletics is a little bit of a better skill than Acrobatics. Deception, B tier. Now we're in the social skill. Let's lump all the social skills together here in B. Persuasion is the most useful. Deception is second, and Intimidation is third. Being good at talking in the communication game is obviously really good. You can possibly avoid fights, make very useful allies, get things early. There's just so many things, and the coolest thing about tabletop games is you can say anything that comes to mind, and NPCs will react to you. But my super hot take here is that your real life talking skills matters more than these in-game skills majority of the time. So much so that DMs won't make you roll any sort of social skill if you say things correctly. If you're like Kobe from D4, I'm pretty sure you can silver tongue your way out of anything really without even rolling. Still though, these are worthwhile picks and are possible backups for diplomacy or whatever you're doing. History, C tier, in the back of everything. Lore is useful to know and is fun to learn about. I do consider this skill, but there's very little mechanics here, which is why it's so low, and failing these are always big nothing burgers. Insight, A tier. This helps you figure out the motives of creatures and detect lies. It's very useful to avoid getting betrayed later on. Sometimes that can be game changing. Investigation, A tier. After years of playing, I feel like everyone runs this differently, but it's usually used for making deductions based on clues. It's very similar to perception in tons of ways, like detecting traps or secret doors. Investigation has less mechanics compared to perception, especially now with 2024. There used to be a few spells that used investigation to spot them, but looking at some of them now, like Glyph of Warding, it's been changed to perception. The only reason why I rank it high is because seeing things is incredibly powerful in this game, and this is commonly used. Medicine, D tier. This is the worst skill in the game, funnily enough. A healing spell or a healing potion, which are both really easy to get, will bypass this role. It does have a few mechanics, but it's not useful. It's very niche. You might identify wounds sometimes, but I find that most DMs will call for an investigation check here. Nature, C tier. This is for identifying plants, animals, and other natural phenomena. One very notable mechanic is harvesting poisons is a DC 20 nature check, which can be useful at times, like if you kill a purple worm or something. I've seen Warlock players milk their pseudo-dragons for poisons. I've made a video about it years ago. That's still a thing people do. That's really powerful poison. Perception, S tier. Best skill in the game. You roll this almost every single session. And a lot of the times, it's like every hour. You detect things with sight, smell, or sound. It will protect you and possibly your team from being surprised. You can detect traps and other secrets like hidden doors and what have you. If your perception is high, a lot of the time you don't need to roll at all. Your PP will detect it. My PP? PP means passive perception. Anyways, what's different in 2024 though is Surprise got nerfed. It's way less deadlier than what it used to be before, so perception is less mandatory now, but it's still immensely useful. You guys don't want enemies to have advantage on initiative while you guys have disadvantage. In tier 1 play, that can be a TPK. I've seen that many times. Performance, D tier, right next to medicine. It is a moneymaker for early game to be fair, and you can act with it or spin a really good story with it. But the other social skills are just so much better. Go with deception or persuasion. They're more useful in the long run. Religion, hallelujah, D tier. It's only really useful for obscure cults like the Dead 3 or something along those lines. The popular religions and gods are like open books and usually don't provide anything useful. Glitter Gold killing Curdlemac isn't useful information, but hey, at least you you understand why kobolds hate gnomes. Sleight of hand. I haven't fully decided yet, but we're gonna go with C. It's normally for fast hands like picking pockets or cheating at cards. In 2014, this would go to D tier, but in the new version, Sleight of Hand got boosted a lot, especially for Thief Rogue builds. I'm honestly surprised I'm not seeing them on YouTube because these builds are very unique. They don't have a normal playstyle at all. They're using ropes and handcuffs in combat. Maybe I have to make a video on it. They're not really part of optimization though. They're not that strong. But anyways, the reason why I'm unsure is because I've never seen anyone play like that before. And I don't know how well it competes against like a grapple monk or something. They're probably way worse. By the way, there was recently a new feat that improved this playstyle too. It's called Street Justice. There it is. The editor is going to keep it on the screen for a little while. Anyways, next is Stealth. S tier. Staying hidden can avoid fights or give you advantage on initiative. If your entire party succeeds on the stealth, then everyone gets advantage on initiative while the enemies have disadvantage on initiative. And your first attack roll has advantage. This used to be insanely broken in the past, and now it's pretty tame. Still though, it's very strong. You should absolutely try to stealth even if you don't have proficiency. This is the third best skill in the game. It used to be second for many years. Now for the last skill, Survival. C tier. Survival is used to track creatures, avoid wilderness hazards, and navigating the world. These checks are very common for traveling, especially if your DM is very old-fashioned. I feel like veteran DMs use this all the time for hex crawls. Survival-wise, through getting food and water, it's actually really hard to get a 5e character to starve to death. Due to tons of easy features and spells you can just get right away through character creation. Goodberry, for example, solves majority of the party's problems. And that's it for the tier list. You're most likely going to disagree with me, and that's fine. Every table tackles almost all of these differently, even when they run it raw. But you should tell me in the comments what your tier list is. I want to know what you think. Anyways, end the video. I'm currently struggling with getting sponsors, so if you like this channel, I hope to earn your support on Patreon or YouTube membership. That would be very nice. Gator's a big spender, and I live in Norway. Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye bye!